Hello，你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger on Wednesday, December 29th, 2021. There's a kind of fun, kind of sad, kind of embarrassing little uh, personal experience that will lead perfectly into today's episode. Now, I actually told this story on the Soul Search Sunday in the past. But just in case you haven't seen that episode yet, or if you uh, have forgotten, here is this little personal embarrassment again. I was at a friend's wedding when, out of the blue, a good, trusted, I emphasize on the word trusted, a trusted good friend came up to me at the party and he said, "Hey, I heard that you can really hold your liquor. I heard that you can really drink. So I brought a whole bottle of tequila today, and you and I we are going to see who is the real man who can hold his liquor better, who can drink more." Now, I played this game many, many, many times when I was a teenager, and even when I was an adult. I have always been very confident in my ability to hold down my liquor and to put away my ability to put away a large quantity of liquor. Now, I don't always feel all that well the next day or the day after that, especially now as I'm getting older. I find the after effect is just not very pleasant. But even now, I can maybe not drink with the best of them, but I can definitely uh, do myself proud and not embarrass my family. Now, you may say, now you're just being dramatic. How can you embarrass your family by not drinking? Oh, well, you actually can in my culture, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So, without thinking, I said, "Sure, man, sure. Okay, if you brought the tequila, I'm willing to drink with you, and I'm willing to drink you under the table." That tequila wasn't the only thing I drank that night, because, like I said, it was a friend's wedding. Actually, let me say it's not. It's an engagement party. It's not the actual wedding. It was an engagement party. Uh, we had champagne. I had almost a whole bottle of wine at a different table, and then finally, me and my trusted good friend found a corner table of our own, sat down, and started toasting each other with tequila. Uh, Little did I know that this was a setup all along, or a prank. While I was putting away tequila, one cup at a time, and just downing them, pouring, downing them, my quote unquote trusted friend was actually drinking water. In the end of the night, I put away that entire bottle of tequila all on my own, without knowing. I thought he was matching me drink by drink, and I was wondering wow, how come I am getting so dizzy and drunk, and this guy still seems so clear-headed. Wow, he must be really, really good. I thought I ran into uh, a master drinker in this case. I was kicking myself. I was like, wow, Johnny, 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 you thought you were really good at it, and now look at you. He's out drinking you. He's doing so much better. So of course I started to drink faster, more, and well, next thing I knew, I woke up and a couple of hours gone by. I had no idea how I got home. I woke up on the cold, hard floor of my residence with my cat Tiger pacing worriedly around me, and I had no idea what transpired. Now, This experience uh, had several facets to it. One, I was very disappointed that a trusted friend would do that to me, play on my blindness. But second, I think more importantly, it taught me or it reminded me that when you are blind, you don't want to take everything as face value. You don't want to say yes to a competition unless you have witnesses and people there that can verify things for you. But perhaps the most important part, the most important thing that this experience did for me was it actually saved me from much worse and much further embarrassment and situations. Because a few months after this experience, I went to China for the first time in my life for my friend Kevin's wedding. I stayed in China for about a month and we traveled all over China, met a lot of families and friends and strangers. Now, if you didn't know this part about Chinese people, is Chinese people have drinking down to an art. I'm not even talking about the quality of alcohol or the quality of uh, 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 the goblet or cup. I'm not talking about the artistic stuff, like not that kind of art. I'm talking about Chinese people take drinking very, very, very seriously, especially when it comes to men. For women, this can usually be uh, a little bit less severe because Chinese people has always been very chauvinistic and sexist. They believe that drinking is a man's business. Women shouldn't be able to drink that much because they are supposed to be weaker. With that said, women was not exempt from this big drinking culture. In fact, throughout Chinese history, and this is something that's really dark, so prepare yourself. Throughout Chinese history, there has been many emperors that when they have special guests, nobles and royalties and ambassadors and returning heroes from war, these special guests come, and the emperor would summon them to the palace. The emperor would have a whole uh, bunch of very beautiful women, uh, and these women, their sole duty was to uh, make the special guests drink by bringing them the alcohol, bring them the wine or ale, and then to make sure they drink it and make sure they eat and make sure they have a good time. If the guest was to refuse the food, the more erotic dances or advances, those were bad enough. But if the guest was to refuse alcohol, the girl, the lady who offered the alcohol, would be executed on the spot. Uh, there was an emperor who was so big into this ceremony, this idea of making his special guests drink, that it was said during one of his royal party, one of his own minister, a guy who maybe due to health reason, maybe due to some other reason, just was not a drinker. The guy couldn't drink. So the emperor ended up executing nine nine serving ladies that brought this guy alcohol because every time this guy would turn the alcohol down, and then the emperor would have the woman executed on the spot right in front of the guy. So that like, see, if you drink the alcohol, this woman would be alive now. Kind of like a big guilt trip thing. That is how messed up, serious Chinese people take drinking alcohol. Now, if you say, why? Why? It's supposed to be fun. Why is it so important? What's the big deal? Uh, I think a big part of this is that the Chinese word for alcohol is jiu, which is the same word as the number nine, which is the most uh, uh, important, the most lucky number in Chinese people's mind. So right there, alcohol is placed at very high importance because it's the same word as the number nine. It's the most uh, uh, honorable, noble, lucky, uh, uh, fortune-bearing number in all the numbers in Chinese belief. And more than that, uh, alcohol has been in Chinese culture for a long, long time. I mean, we talked about that back when we talked about when vinegar was invented in China. Vinegar was invented in China roughly 3,000 years ago, and vinegar came from wines that went bad. So wine had been part of Chinese people's life for 4 or 5 thousand years, which means if you have 4 or 5 thousand years to perfect something, to play with something, to mess around with something, you are going to find all the ways, good ways, bad ways, weird ways to utilize this thing, and alcohol is one of them. The drinking culture, the idea of convincing people to drink, it's still such a big deal in Chinese culture today that yeah, they don't execute women anymore if people refuse the alcohol they bring. But get this, uh, in many Chinese, Taiwanese, big corporations, big industries and especially high-ranking CEOs and owners of businesses, millionaires, when they are looking for secretaries, when they're looking for someone to be a manager, someone who have to do public relation, one of the tests is they'll put down a bottle, a full bottle of very high powered alcohol, like 50% something alcohol, like a very strong bottle of whiskey in front of you. Tell you, you drink this down. If you can finish half a bottle right here, then you get the job because those jobs, especially if you're doing PR, public relation, in my culture, it's so important. You know how to drink, you know how to hold your liquor, you know how to make people drink with you and have a good time. Uh, I know this from a very personal standpoint because back when I was little, my mom uh, operated the nightclubs that my family owned. Now, that made her the club manager in a sense. Basically, she was the club manager. My dad was the owner. My mom had to put away so much alcohol because she has to walk around, and if she saw a influential business person or uh, influential government worker or a high-ranking military person, she had to be the one drinking with them. She couldn't put it off to any of the other staff members. She had to personally, as the manager of the club, have a drink with them. So it was very common for my mom to come home 6 in the morning, walk in the door, and immediately fall down and pass out on the carpet. That happened so much that we didn't even think anything special of it anymore. But that was part of her duty. So she definitely needed that ability to put away a lot of alcohol, a lot of liquor. If you look at um, how Chinese people, even today, try to uh, convince each other to drink at parties, at gatherings. it get really, really crazy. Like, uh, literally, especially for men, some men will manhandle you. Like, two of them grab you and hold you still, and the third one pour alcohol into your mouth. It like you, it's like being attacked. It's like being assaulted. If you're not careful and you wind up in that kind of crowd. Uh, Now, they don't all do that. Most of them has a little bit more restraint, uh, but they love doing that to strangers or people who they think they can get away with. They think it's fun. They think it's funny to, if you say, no, 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 I can't drink anymore, they'll manhandle you, they'll grab you and force you to drink. They'll try to make you throw up or try to make you pass out or go to the hospital or something like that. And if you get mad, then they'll just act like they don't understand why you are mad because it was your own lack of manliness, your own lack of tolerance for alcohol. It's not their fault. They're just trying to help you have a good time. Uh, so it's a really crazy part of my culture, this whole uh, drinking culture. Another thing that you might not know, and I have been asked about this before, because um, a lot of time, if someone toast me, offer me a toast at a party, I will drink down the whole mug or whole glass of whatever I'm toasting with. And a lot of people seem to think, wow, why you just do that? Why did you just do that? Well, the reason is that's how we toast in my culture. In Chinese culture, when you say you want to toast someone, this is a serious business. Let's say if I am at a party and I want to offer Peter a toast. Let's say maybe Peter just got promoted, and I want to say, okay, everybody, I got to stand up and not make a lot of noise and I say, hey, everybody, I want to toast Peter for his continuous success at work and his promotion. Uh, and then I touch my the rim of my glass to his, which, by the way, this is a little detail, very important, but a lot of people don't pay attention to this one. When you touch the rim of your glass to the other person's, the rim of your glass have to touch lower than the rim of their glass. So you want to clink, not the rim of their glass. You want to clink about halfway, maybe three-quarter way. Uh, so this is a sign of respect. It's equivalent to me bowing to you, me lowering my head in respect. That is the proper way to toast in Chinese culture. Now, if I toast this person, two things have to happen unless I add an additional condition and say at ease or do whatever you like. If I say at ease or do whatever you like, then the person can drink however they want. Everybody can drink however they can just take a sip, or they can take a gulp, or they can drink half a glass or the whole glass. Whatever you want, at ease. But if I do not add that condition, if I toast Peter, two things have to happen. One is me as a person doing the toasting, I have to down the whole glass. Second is Peter, the person who got toasted, have to down the whole glass. That is a mutual respect thing. If you can't do that, if actually this happened before in the military, where an officer toasted a subordinate, a lower ranking soldier, for his successful mission, and the lower rank soldier wasn't a drinker and didn't know about these customs. And so all he did was took one sip and then he put the glass down. This was viewed as insubordination. This was viewed as an insult to the officer. And the soldier who did that ended up getting court-martialed and punished for that. That is how crazy serious this thing can get. So uh, that is why when someone toasts me, I automatically believe that I have to drink the whole thing, unless the person say, "Hey, no, just drink it however you like, but take it easy." Silly, I know, but I grew up in that culture. I've seen so many fights, so many arguments happen when someone toasts someone else and that person didn't uh, drink the whole thing, and it was taken as an insult. Basically, it can be viewed as you are not good enough for me to drink with. You don't, you're not good enough to toast me, so I refuse your toast. Uh, so yeah, that's some serious stuff. People from Shandong province. Where is Shandong province? Well, that is province in China where Confucius came from. People from Shandong province take this even one step further. In Shandong province, whenever you run a party, you have to make sure that there for every guest there is one drinking companion, one I guess you can say toaster, one person who's there to make sure the guest is drinking a lot. So one for every guest you invite, you got to make sure you have someone designated as uh, someone who will be there to pour the alcohol for this guest and offer to toast this guest to make sure this guest keep on drinking during the night. If you have 50 guests, you need to have 50 toasters or designated alcohol drinking companion for the party. Uh, and during the party, uh, they at the very beginning of the party, the head toaster, because then let's say you have 50 of these toasters, 50 of these drinking companions, they have to have a leader. And so the head companion, the head toaster, have to stand up and do the first toast in the beginning of the party. Uh, that first toast is very laid back, so you don't have to drink at all. You can just sip. It just okay. Now we have a sip, and the party can start. And then a few minutes, maybe 10, 20 minutes later, the second in command, the second toaster will stand up and toast two drinks. And again, this you don't have to drink them both, but you have to pour two drinks and at least sip from both. And then things get serious. And then from the third toaster up, every 10, 20 minutes, another toaster will stand up and toast the whole room. And from the third toaster on up, every time they toast the whole room, everyone have to empty their glass, have to drink the whole thing. So you can imagine how crazy this gets if there's 50 toasters at a party. Uh, this tradition, this crazy drinking tradition, came from the Zhou dynasty, which was about 3,000 years ago. The emperor, the first emperor of Zhou, wrote a book or had a book made up called the uh, Etiquette of Zhou. Etiquette of Zhou. Basically, in this book, there was all the etiquette, all the social nicety and rules on drinking, on sleeping, on engagement, on wedding, on having children, on going to school, all that stuff, all the etiquette the emperor expected from his people were put in this book. And this book later were really, really promoted by Confucius. Confucius was all big into rules and ceremonies. So this crazy drinking tradition of one companion for each guest, and every uh, companion have to toast the party in a certain order. This came all the way from that original etiquette of Zhou book from 3,000 years ago. And even today, people from Shandong province still practice this. So back to my original story. The way I was very confident in my drinking ability, the way that I was so quick to drink with people to take up a challenge. If I went to China with that kind of mindset, I would get into so much trouble because of how serious people took drinking there. There would be so many people that tried to drink me under the table, and I would probably end up drunk all the time and having to suffer hangovers, or maybe even end up in the hospital, or have my things stolen, or passed out, and God knows what can happen in a strange country. But because of my experience with my friend a few months ago. When I went to China, I became very, very humble, very, very low key. Whenever one of these Chinese people, our Chinese hosts or relatives or friends, try to ask me, "Can you drink? Come on, let's have a drink." I said, "No, no, 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 no. No. I'm not very good at it. I'll try my best. Okay, I'll maybe have a couple with you, but yeah, I'm not very good." So for the most part, I got called wimps a lot. They insinuated, well, how come you look so big and you can't drink? How come you look like a man but you drink like a woman? I got a lot of that, but hey, in the end, I was able to keep my liver in good condition and I didn't embarrass myself at all while I was in a foreign country.